Good morning, my friends. I've got a question for you today. What is your adventure profile? Do you like lean in recklessly? Do you go, oh, no, I like to stay safe? Do you do either one? Do you miss out? Do you do things alone? We're going to talk all about adventure today and how to regulate your nervous system, because it comes down to that. How regulated are you? How able are you to regulate your nervous system so that you can be adventuresome and partake of this life and all of its good stuff and stop fearing all the things that could eat you alive? Welcome, I'm Ann Ferguson, and I am an adventurer. I've got a very adventuresome spirit, and I have people around me who have anxiety. I don't understand anxiety in the way that they understand it. I have anxiety about things like money, right? I get really anxious. But adventuring, doing new things, I don't have that anxiety. And I don't make people wrong for having anxiety. So I would love to talk about this, try to figure out a little bit about what to do and how to do it, and see whether or not it'll help you. So I am an author. I am a public speaker. I am a mom, a grandma. I'm a mom of a 21-year-old. My youngest is 21 today. Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, let's move on. So I've got a question for you. When somebody says to you, hey, let's do this thing, and you've never done it before, what is your immediate response? Do you immediately go and kind of take that breath and your heart starts to race and you feel bad because you don't want to say no, but you can't say yes because the anxiety is too much? Is that how your brain runs? If so, it's just how your brain runs. There's no right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just what it is. It's unfortunate in that that's a horrible experience to have. And if that's you, I hear you. That's rough. And there are others, does a new thing, go, ooh, I'm in, let's do this, kind of recklessly. I'm kind of sitting in between those two things. Yesterday, my husband took me on a horseback ride. And it wasn't any kind of horseback ride. I went up to a ranch, and it wasn't like walking around the arena. It was up and down mountains. And I was so excited about it because that's how I respond to it. My husband was not so excited about it, and that's not how he responds to it. And both, I want you to hear me, are totally okay. This is what I appreciated. I appreciated that even though my husband was not excited about it, he chose in. He's like, you know what? His nervous system was going crazy before we even got up there. And he stayed in. He tried. And it was so great. Like that courage to face a dragon, to me, first of all, super sexy. Just saying. Part of the reason for that is because me and my adventuresome spirit, I do a lot of things alone. I love to share life. I love to share experiences. And there's a lot of times where the profile between me and my husband, with adventure specifically, he doesn't have the same kind of anxiety over money that I do. So it's just kind of flip-flops, right? But I love being with someone. So there's many times, in honor of his comfort level, I just do things alone. And I was very appreciative yesterday. So what I want to talk about is some tips and some things just to think about. So I believe that belief matters. I believe that as we have a thought that comes into our head about something, we kind of project into the future, that if we adopt that thought and we agree with it, it now drops into our soul and it becomes a belief. Once we have a belief, it generates all sorts of emotion. So, for me, The belief about a horseback ride was I can do this. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know what this was going to look like, but I can do this. And part of that is because I had gone with my good friend to California a few years ago, and she has some horses. She put me on these horses, and she gave me just enough instruction to help me know what to do. So she's like, okay, on the reins. If the horse is behaving, you let down on the tension. It's like reward. And it's like a baby bird, you know, you want to hold it tenderly. You don't want to squish its head, but you don't want to let it go. So on the reins with this horse, you've got to kind of not push it, not hold it so tight. It'll push against you. So just kind of let the reins go a little bit. And then she explained, look, these horses, they don't like the pressure. And so they go away from pressure. Anybody else walk away from pressure? I love this. So if I want to turn right, I kick with my left and I pull towards the right. So the reins are going to the right. So what happens is that all the pressure that's on the left makes the horse walk away from it. And the same thing on the right. If I want to go to the left, kick with the right, put pressure on the right side of the horse, and it will go away from it. Okay, guys, are we kind of like that? Because I think I am. Like, I don't like pressure. Do you guys like pressure? Makes perfect sense to me. She taught me how to say whoa and sit, and how to move forward, and told me it was going to be safe. I was so nervous the first time that I rode that horse. I was not comfortable. I'm little teeny 5'2". It was a great big old horse, and it felt overwhelming. And when I was sitting on it, I felt its power. And I felt out of control. Even though I was the one with reins, I knew that horse could and would do anything. I was just a little rider. It was submitting its power to let me guide it. How cool is that? And it frightened me to death. And yet, my good friend Vanessa took me on this ride and kept me safe and feeling great. So when the idea of she came again. She came to where I am and had suggested that there were some trail rides. I said yes, jumped on that horse, and I had confidence because I had had exposure. I'd already done it. I had kind of faced that fear. It wasn't as enjoyable as today's was, or yesterday's ride was. But I let myself kind of experience it. I got off the horse. We didn't do anything but walking. And I went, phew, that's over. That was not yesterday. That was a couple of years ago. So we're going to fast forward now into yesterday. I was totally looking forward to it. It was so different. Because I'd been exposed and I let myself have that nervous system response, right? And I just breathed through it the first time I was on that horse and just let my nervous system relax. I had this idea when I went to possibly ride a horse yesterday that I was going to be safe. When I agreed with the idea that I was going to be safe, I looked forward. Now, it's not like I don't have any trauma about that, because I actually was on a horse one other time when I was a kid. My uncle was a cattle rancher, and my cousins, who were horse people, put me on a horse, gave me absolutely no instruction, and that horse went right in between two hay bales. I don't know how to reverse the horse. I was stuck there, and they were just laughing and laughing and laughing at me, and I felt embarrassed. So the first time I went on the horse with Vanessa, I had the initial response of embarrassment. And she was willing to just nurture me through the embarrassment and not make me wrong for it. Now, Tom, completely different experience. in that there was already anxiety. He'd never been on a horse. When we went up, he's a great old cowboy who's worked in this ranch. He's been on horses probably since the time he was 2. Threw his leg over, had us throw our leg over. There wasn't a lot of instruction. And so the experience for Tom was confirmed. This is not okay. I'm not safe. I don't feel good. I feel terrified. And it was totally okay. That was the case. It just is. It's not right or wrong. His nervous system was freaking out. My nervous system freaked out the first time that I did it. So I want to talk about that just a little bit and about validation. Just because my experience is different than someone else's doesn't invalidate them, doesn't make them less adventuresome. He was on a horse. He was adventuring. And my experience was so fun, and his experience was not so fun. And in my past, I'm going to make some confessions here. I've made him wrong. Totally made him wrong. That he wasn't like me. That his nervous system was different than mine. And there have been times, many times, we're learning this together, that he has made me wrong because of the way my brain thinks or the way my nervous system runs. That doesn't help, right? To not only be experiencing something that's a little rough, but then be judged and be told, why can't you just do it? You know, you'll be fine. When you're like, I'm not fine, but I'm not fine. I'm not fine. I would love to challenge you to believe someone. It's pretty simple. How are you? Oh, you're okay. I want you to take that out of your vernacular. You're okay. You're okay. Guess what, my friends? You are not in charge of that nervous system. You do not know the heart rate level that's going up, or the flooding in the head and the headache and the swirling that happens. And say, you're okay, you're okay. These days, my friends, does not work. Now, back in the day, exposure therapy, just get on the horse, make it happen. If you get bucked off, get back on that horse. Ignore your pain, ignore your feelings, ignore everything. That does not work. It doesn't work. All it does is cause more emotional shutdown. And you have your emotional shutdown, you have emotional unavailability. And when you have unavailability, you have much less relationship. And 2 people are alone, and nobody's supported. So, if anybody in your space, I've had to really learn this, you guys. The level of anxiety over adventure doesn't make sense to me. Why? Because my belief is I like adventure. I like new things. I love exploration. And my brain doesn't actually go into worst case scenario. Does your brain go into worst case scenario? Because if it does, you're not wrong. You're cautious. Nothing wrong with that. We are a perfect little couple, I think, because I love the adventure, so we push, and he is very cautious and can keep me safe. Isn't that cool? I used to make him wrong, you guys. I'll tell you, the first time it dawned on me, I used to feel like Tom was rejecting me. I'd ask him to do something, he'd say no. I'd get sad, kind of pouty. I'd go do it myself, I'd withdraw. I'd feel lonely. I wouldn't feel the fun of the adventure because I just wanted him to come with me, and he would say no. And he couldn't see how much it meant to me that he was there, and so that meant that I was being rejected. That's not what it meant. I didn't know that. So a few years ago, a couple of his friends came all the way from Virginia, and we're doing a cross-country drive. And Tom does all sorts of things with these guys when he's in Virginia. And they were in our neck of the woods. So fun. And they suggested a drive. And I witnessed Tom get overwhelmed, shut down, say no but not say no, but get really quiet and walk upstairs. And it was the strangest thing for me to see, because it's what I'd seen from him when I asked him to do things. And I had internalized and personalized it, that it was about me. He didn't want to be with me. Okay, that's not the case. These are his friends. These are the ones he does all sorts of, not adventuresome stuff with, but he loves to go and do things with them, like all the time. And I was like, what is going on right now? So I went upstairs and I asked him, and he goes, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And that is usually what would happen, is that his heart rate will go up, his blood pressure goes up, he gets a headache, his whole body goes, power down. So instead of all the hyperventilating stuff, his body just goes, nope, we are going to play dead. That is a nervous system response. I didn't understand that. This day I witnessed it. And rather than saying, what's the matter with you? You know, your friends are asking you to go. Like, what's wrong? I didn't say, what's the matter with you? I did say, hey, what's happening right now? Now, in the past, I had pushed and pushed and pushed and made him wrong for not wanting to do things. So was I very safe to talk to? No. Did he have the courage to tell me anyway? Yes. Am I grateful? Yes, I learned one of the bigger lessons of my life, because I sat in curiosity. This is one thing I would love you to know, is that curiosity will kill judgment. So this whole thing wasn't my idea to go on this drive. I was just excited to go do something. So I was okay, but it wasn't rejection of me. So because of that, I was able to stay present. Like, what's going on right now? He goes, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Can you tell me more? Curiosity. Can you tell me more? It was up some canyons, and Tom was worried that his anxiety would kick in while he's driving along these canyons. See, I grew up where there were great big mountains, like skied, all that. I don't have any kind of anxiety about that, but I listened to him. He's like, I don't want to be going fast, people behind me pushing me, wanting me to go, 45 miles an hour or more up these canyons. I said, oh, you don't know. He said, what? I go, you don't know that in this particular canyon, it's a tourist site. So you're only allowed to go 25 miles an hour. It's a single lane. And so if you got a car in front of you, it's just going to go slow. And it's just so breathtaking that it's just beautiful to witness and to look at, to see. So I think that's going to be fine. And I said, what if you go in the other car? Like, you're not the one that's driving. He goes, well, what's the point of that? Because he actually wanted to be with me. And I saw for the first time the frustration, the disappointment, the inadequacy, if you will. I saw it for the first time. I saw what anxiety does. Instead of being mad that somebody was succumbing to anxiety. And it was fascinating to me, and my compassion was present, probably for the first time. And kind of prayed, said, Lord, what do we do here? How do I help him? So the idea came, look, we can go up for a little bit. I will not push you or pressure you to keep going. I'll support you and just say, hey, we need to turn around and do something else. So you can go into the canyon and then maybe, he goes, but we're never going to stop. How are we going to know? these friends of mine had a drone, and so I knew they would be stopping and taking footage with his drone. I said, you know what? There's going to be a lot of pull-offs. It's going to be actually probably calm, but you have an out. I am willing to just turn around and leave at any time that you want. That gave that freedom of retreating back into safety if necessary. And we went, and it was great. We made it all the way through the canyon. There was confidence. It's like, oh, that wasn't too bad. But what happened to make that happen was validation. The validation that his perspective was different than mine. I'd been in the canyon. I knew what it looked like. I knew, what to expect. But without knowing what to expect, things feel like they're going to eat you alive, right? So part of it is the belief. If I believe that things are going to eat me alive, I'm not going to want to go. I'm not going to want to step in. I'm not going to want to do. Here's the thing. I can't change anybody's belief. I don't have the ability to change belief, right? I can suggest something else. Here's the really frustrating thing about anxiety. When something feels like it's going to eat you alive, it's very real. And to trust that it's not going to is super courageous. So what the belief was that shifted was, I believe that I can turn around at any time and won't be mad, won't pout, won't punish me, if you will, emotionally withdraw and sulk. It's not very adult, but that's what I used to do. I have permission to back out. It was the only thing that needed to change in that belief so that he could be adventuresome. So if you have some pretty big anxiety, you have a choice. First of all, the initial emotions that you experience are not your choice. So if there's something in front of you and you feel all of the anxiety, you did not choose to feel anxiety. It's what your body did. And what's happening is that your body's doing that based on a trauma, big or small, that you've had in your past. And the reason for that is because trauma starts and is stored in a part of your brain that doesn't have reason. It also doesn't have time. So it propels you right into the same exact time as the trauma. That's why when there's soldiers and things like a motorcycle, bike, or something will backfire, and before they know it, they're on the ground covering their head. It's because the body has actually been trained to respond to keep you safe. And that anxiety, there is a very legitimate something that happened that you had to keep yourself safe in and not think about it. Because when you're in trauma, yesterday we talked about the levels of spin. When you're in a level 4, you are not thinking at all. And if you're in trauma and not thinking, your freeze, fight, or flight system will take over and will react to keep you safe. There's no thinking in that. There is just responding. And so as you respond to that, when nothing's happening, it can feel really embarrassing. So, before you're even in the situation, if you've got anxiety, take a deep breath, look around. I am safe, I am safe, I am safe. What belief do I need? Beyond that, it's going to kill me. What belief do I need? It's going to feel like you're lying. It's going to feel unreal, not possible. And yet it's the door out. The door out is not making yourself do something so that you think about it differently. The door out is to open up the possibility that you can do something different. that you can believe something different that will generate emotions that make your body respond in a different way and give you evidence that you are safe. Yeah, that is rough for all of you who have anxiety, who have not been heard, who have not been seen, who have not been told it's okay, who have not been given a safe place to retreat or a safe place to lean in. As you explore this, I hear you. And me, who doesn't experience anxiety, trying to wrap my brain around what's happening to you, I just want to say I'm trying. To express, if you can, what is happening when it's not happening to your loved ones. I mean, even show them this video and say, look, she's kind of explaining something. Now, if I'm getting this wrong, oh my gosh, please correct me. Those of you who have anxiety, please let me know what you wish. Let's comment, let's dialogue. What do you wish people would know and understand and do for you in those moments? I will tell you, I've learned a phrase, and that is, do you have any requests of me that would feel really supportive of you right now? I did not say that last night while Tom was battling and having this anxiety and being so freaking courageous. It was quite amazing. What I loved about what happened last night is that he honored his anxiety and he didn't make himself wrong. So there came a point where, first of all, it was all this power underneath him, right? And as the horse would move, he's not putting his foot on that gas. He doesn't actually have a brake. He's got two little strips of leather and a lot of power underneath him. And he has to trust that he's safe. Holy crap, that's a lot of mess, right? Whew, so much. Well, he had asked, this thing isn't going to rear up on me, is it? Nope, it's safe. You're safe. Well, there was a new horse that had only been ridden a few times that my friend Vanessa was on. And we walked on this trail past a field of Arabians who were just running and running and running. Well, this little horse, it wanted to go run with the Arabians. It's like, I'm done with this rider. And it started to rear up. Now, luckily, Vanessa was behind us, so we didn't see it. But she jumped off because it got to be too much. And we all had to stop. And that now solidified the, wait a minute, if that can happen, then it can to me too, right? And then we got that all squared away. Before that, we went across a little bit of a creek, so it was water. And the one horse, who was new, didn't like the water. And Tom's horse totally liked the water, was fine in it. But again, you can't steer a horse. Like, it has to find its own footing. So there's this surrender and trust to power. Holy moly. And so it did a thing. Tom made it through that. Then the horse bucked. And we sat there, and our trail guide left to go help Vanessa. So we were just two novices sitting on these great big powerful animals, trying to regulate nervous systems and trust that everything is okay. Everything is okay. I did not do a great job of validating in the moment because there was and I just kept saying, I think the horse is going to be okay. I think there was more for me than him. Like, these are good horses. Look how still they are. They're just sitting here waiting. It was great. So then a horse came up front, and we started on the trail again. And just as we got past where we were, there was a side-by-side coming down the trail, and there wasn't quite enough space. Well, our little fun horse that was new to all of this didn't like it, and it stopped, and it wouldn't go, and it was fussy. And Tom's horse turned around and started walking the other way, and Tom didn't know how to control it. What's fascinating to me about that is that I have a feeling Tom wanted to turn around and walk away if he had his own legs. Horses are so connected to their riders and who's on them, and they can feel all sorts of stuff. And Tom, I'm sure, was like, I gotta get off. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. The horse actually listened. Well, what happened was he turned around, didn't know what else to do. The lead came by, said, hey, let's turn around. And Tom's like, I'm good. I don't want to do this. And I supported him absolutely 100% in that. It wasn't a flat little ride. There were so many variables that were out of control. He didn't get instruction like I had. It was just jump on the horse, push your feet back like this and say, whoa, keep the reins soft if they're doing good. If they're not, pull back on them, let them know. That was it. There was no practice. There was no anything. And I just am so full of admiration for the courage, not just to be on the horse, but the courage to say, this isn't for me right now. His nervous system was running way too high. And he just says, I want to get off. So he got into the side-by-side. He went back. He helped with the pool cover. He helped around the ranch while I finished the ride. And it was all okay. I am so grateful that I've learned how to validate that experience is real and not make him wrong. I am grateful that he has learned to trust that I will validate his experience as real and not make him wrong, so that he is free to govern whatever he needs to govern in his experiences. That's called partnership. So if you would love to be adventuresome, as you're thinking about something going forward, if there's anxiety and you're safe and you're not even in the zone yet, take some deep breaths and say, am I seeing worst case scenario in this? Is that the picture? Am I going to be out of control? Is there something going on here? And yes, there's probably something in your past, but to go, okay, this is new. Have I done new things before? I have. Is there anything that I need that would feel very supportive of me so that I could lean in a little bit more into this? And ask. Explain to people who do not have anxiety what it's like, and just say, I would love to share with you what happens in me. If you don't know, watch the video, see if I'm off, see if I'm right. If I'm off, like I said, please share and correct me, because then you can share what happens inside your own body. And you might be able to change it. For me, it's not anxiety, it's depression. I should just be able to get out of bed. I should just be able to function. I should just be able to do that. What's the matter with you? Everything's fine. And I can't explain what the chemicals in my body are doing when I'm depressed and when I feel alone and I feel like nobody wants to be around me and I feel rejected. I can't make people understand that. I can't make them feel it so that they understand it. So I've got to be able to articulate it somehow. And I've got to not make me wrong. That is my walk and talk today. Hope that was beneficial to you in somehow, some level. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be crazy. It's also okay to speak it. And it's also okay to challenge it. But you have to be the one to challenge it, not somebody else. You have to say, is this idea that I have in my brain about what's going to happen, is it absolutely true? And if you haven't even started yet, and you do have evidence that it could be true, that's okay. Evidence that it could be true is not absolute truth that this is what's going to happen. So challenging that a little bit and going, okay, what is going to happen might be different. What thought, what support, what understanding do I need that will shift this for me? Do that before you ever get into the game. And see if you can become adventuresome. That's it, y'all. Have a super great weekend. I hope you have a lot of fun this weekend. You connect with your people. Validate the crap out of what other people are experiencing. You don't have to agree with their conclusion. but you can validate the experience. All right, see you.